Hi, my name is Cody. I'm a software engineer here in San Francisco. And in this video series, we are rebuilding Lovable from scratch using LangGraph. In the last video, we showed how you can use a large language model to make control flow level decisions, essentially turning the large language model into an if-else statement that can then branch in your code in order to make different decisions about what it should or shouldn't do. We use that to separate out the difference between asking a question such as "can you hear me?" and having the large language model respond versus telling our agent to make a page change onto our document and having it overwrite the code to the page change. So if we were to say, please make the background white on the game, if we send this one in, it will take a different code path in our project than it would before our last video. You see in here, it has basically the large language model will make a decision to either respond naturally or it will end up writing code. So in this case, it responded with code and actually wrote it to the file system. You can see now it actually made the background white. This is one definition of an agent as discussed in this article here that LangGraph put out, basically letting the LLM make a decision. They can essentially pick their own control flow, which is one definition of an agent. In this video, we're going to continue down that train of thought, and we're actually just going to make it a little bit smarter. And specifically what we're going to do is we're going to break out our prompts into two different prompts. Right now we have a generic prompt that whether our program splits and responds naturally or it writes code, whichever decision the agent makes, it actually runs the exact same prompt. And what we're going to do is we're going to change that and make two separate prompts, where the one for respond naturally is a standalone prompt, and that way we can feed it a lot more context and information that will be very helpful when our agent decides to respond naturally to the user. So to start that, as usual, whenever creating a new prompt or new agent workflow, it's very helpful to start in the Langsmith prompt playground. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the prompts page here in Langsmith. I'm going to make a new prompt. I'm going to save it as respond to user. We're going to make this public so everybody can see it. And now what we're going to do is we're going to give this prompt all the context that it needs such that it can have an intelligent conversation with the user. So we're going to say, you are LlamaBot, an AI agent developed by Cody to route, or we'll say to help the user create a simple code, or we'll say to create a software project. Your main capabilities currently are that you can read and write HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code for the user. We're going to give it some ideas, like some good example ideas are creating basic games using JavaScript, using HTML and JavaScript canvas, creating basic websites like portfolio websites, static web pages to convey information about a business, person, product, etc. Resume websites, landing pages for businesses or different ideas, dynamic calculators, or we'll say like quote/estimating tools for contractors to help capture, for small businesses or residential contractors to help capture leads on your website. Residential contractors. We're going to give it its own awareness of how it works and how it's built. You are an open source AI agent built using Python, Fast API, LangGraph, Langsmith. I will say LangGraph / LangChain. That all of your prompts are open source and available to view in the Langsmith hub. I think it's LangChain hub, and the LangChain hub. You were created for educational purposes as a type of clone or similar to other agents that build software projects like Lovable, Replit, Bolt, Claude Artifacts, OpenAI's Canvas, etc. To view the source code of this project, go to this URL, or you can tell the user to go to this URL. Okay, we'll go ahead and grab our URL here out of our GitHub page and paste it in here. Okay, I'll say please answer any questions, make suggestions, etc. based on the above information. Here is the user's message. And then in here, we're going to change this to be user message. Let's go ahead and commit this just so we save our progress. Okay. Now to deploy this into production, let's go ahead and click on this respond to user up here. Let's scroll down here. Let's get our path to our prompt. Let's go back to our project and respond naturally. We're going to go ahead and paste this in to respond to user, except you know what? We're actually missing one thing. I do want to include the existing HTML into the respond naturally prompt. That way, if they ask any questions about the page that they're looking at, it will know how to respond. So let me just edit it one more time. I'm going to say, here is the existing HTML page that you are looking at. Okay, I'm going to put this as existing HTML content. And then here is the user's message. Okay. Other examples are resume, websites. Okay, that should be good. Let's go ahead and commit this. Awesome. Let's jump back into here. Okay, llama-bot/respond to user. Okay, now that we have that, let's go ahead and go ahead and run our project again. Let's come back in here. We're going to say, what is your name and what is your purpose? Let's go ahead and hit send. Let's let it think for a minute. Here we go. And it says, I'm LlamaBot, an open source AI agent built by Cody. You can peek at the code here. It gives us the URL. My purpose is to help you design and build web-based projects, everything from simple static sites and landing pages to interactive JavaScript applications. I can read, write, and explain HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, say, how does this game work? Make sure that it can see the actual HTML page. We'll pause it and wait. Okay, cool. Simple side-scrolling, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, awesome. In the next video, we're going to go into some deeper workflows. We're going to try to push our very basic app to its limits and kind of see what it's, where it starts to break down, what problems it has. Let's see how far we can get with a making maybe like a game or something, and see, we'll make a couple different examples, portfolio things, and yeah, let's see how far we can push this very basic version of what we have. And just to really recap on that point, I want to talk about how really simple this is. I mean, if you've been following along in this video series, hopefully it doesn't seem that too crazy. I've tried to keep this as simple as possible. There's 145 lines of Python code, and then there's just 2 HTML pages. The chat interface is 176 lines of code, and then the actual page varies depending on what the LLM is doing. But the main point I'm getting at is that so much of the heavy lifting is actually done by the large language models themselves. So it's impressive, what companies are building, and it's very fun, even using Cursor and using Lovable and Replit and Claude Artifacts and all these no-code tools that are starting to come out. And yet I think it's also important to understand that so much of the heavy lifting is actually done by the large language model. And that's really exciting. That's a really great thing. Now, obviously what we have is a simple implementation, and we'll start to see some of the limitations from that. But I guess the one thing I'd want to communicate is that building your own agent doesn't have to be that hard, especially if you're an existing software engineer or a software developer. If you're already using ChatGPT and Claude and tools like that, then you already kind of have a understanding of how these large language models work and how you can operate with them and kind of get the prompts right and give it the right context so that it understands what you need. And I'm really hoping this project can shed some light into, it's not magic. It's really not magic. And so yeah, I'm excited to keep building this out. And next video, we're going to start pushing this to its limits a little bit more and see where it starts to break. And then I think soon you'll start to see why LangGraph as a library really unlocks this and takes it to the next level. So thanks. I'll see you in the next video.